I did not leave Florida for New York to still experience bipolar weather. I'm very upset. Hello, this is going to be the first weekly goal weekly, the first weekly goals check-in video. There we go. I don't think I have a lot of time because the weather is looking like it's about to rain. Like, I feel like when I was fidgeting with this camera, I feel like I felt a raindrop fall on me. I'm not sure, but it's obviously coming. Okay, the skies are very gray. Last time we sat here together, I was experiencing a heat wave, and now it's threatening to rain. Wonderful. Before I start yapping, I do want to give you a little bit of a preview, a little bit of a vlog of what my last week looks like. So today is June 25th, 8:49. I got home perhaps an hour ago, 2 hours ago, from a meeting at work. Okay. And I was really anticipating this meeting. It was a very important meeting, so I couldn't think straight. But now that meeting's in the past, I learned what I had to learn. I can finally think straight. And tomorrow I have to report to work at 5 a.m. So last time I had a 5 a.m. report time, I think I did not sleep. And I'm glad I didn't sleep because apparently the train I have to get to only had let's say 3 a.m. For me to get to the train, for me to get there on time. So I had to go on a 3 a.m. train. So it's like, maybe I'm going to do the same thing. Don't sleep. And I told myself that next time I have a 5 a.m. report time, right? Like that, I'm just going to sleep the day before. I can't do that, can I? Because I have these goals to fulfill. And I haven't even started. So an addition that I made to the habit tracker section of my planner, an addition that I didn't really get to write in my last video, is do a home workout. Do a home workout, okay? And what I like about this habit tracker, it's gonna say what the goal is in terms of time. Not time, but numeral, right? A numeral goal I can make here. And then I can see what I achieved. So for 2 hours of Spanish, 14 hours, right, is the goal by the end of the week. 2 hours of Mandarin, 14 hours. Spanish vocabulary practice, 100%. Read self-help books, 14 chapters. I'm going to do 2 chapters a day. Write 500 words daily. I should have 3,500 words. And do at-home workout. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Of course, I don't know why I counted. 7 hours. Ideally, I'm going to space it out day by day, but if I miss a day, I can still, let's say I miss 2 hours of Spanish, then the next day I will do 4 hours of Spanish, right? To make up for it and make sure I reach this goal. That's what I really like about this box. What I miss, I can still make up. I like numerically tracking things. So to start fulfilling the goal that I had to finish my reading list, I'm going to start with the latest book that I bought. Okay, Being More Productive, because I think it's relevant to this whole vlog. It's focus on the right work, stop procrastinating, get more done. And I kind of regret the purchase a little bit because it revolves more around being more productive in the office. Right, it seems to give advice in that context, but I'm still confident I can pick up some things that I can apply to daily life. These are the fitness clothes I recently bought at my local store, just to start off my collection of fitness clothes. These are the cutest I can find, the cutest and most appropriate, okay? There were a lot of cute stuff, but we don't need cute stuff, okay? I'm gonna be at home. I just need something to really get this habit kicking. And here's like a first set of vocabulary words, although I'm looking to add more. And most of these words I do recognize, right? I recognize and I have a sense of what they mean in context, right? Surgical strikes. I'm guessing that means surgical strikes, they timed it, right? They did it time to time, right? Surgical, the first thing I'm thinking is, the medical term, but surgical strikes, that obviously means something else. That means like sectional. That's what I'm guessing, but I could be wrong, right? That's kind of what the kind of stuff I highlight. So conscript soldiers, I have no idea what that means. Conscript shoulders have been hobbled. I know what hobbling is, but in context to what they're saying, they're talking about some kind of country. Well, not some kind of country. They're talking about Iran, okay? I try not to be political, but they're saying that a country was hobbled by a certain act. Barrage of missiles. Basically, that means like a group of missiles, a lot of missiles. But I want to make sure I fully understand what barrage is. Like, I'm thinking barrel, but I could be wrong. I have no idea what a centrifuge is. What I like to do is put the index card in here, okay, for later registry into vocabulary.com. But when I was looking in here, I already found this list that I have not yet put into vocabulary.com. All right. So remember when I said I want more words? Never mind. I think this together will be enough words. Flotilla. It is a fleet of small aircraft.
Flotilla.
Flotilla. Okay, nice. Okay, I'm currently 13% done, as you can see over here. Okay, we're trying to get to 25. Beleaguer has almost the same meaning as besiege. Beleaguer is a verb that means to surround so as to force to give up. That's what I was reading. Which of these would most likely buoy someone? Bad news, insufficient sleep, a job promotion, an ice storm. I know what a buoy is, right? But in context of this, so this is the context that kind of matched the context I read in the paper. Most likely buoy someone. I'm thinking insufficient sleep. Based on how I read it, or maybe an ice storm. No, an ice storm. Bad news, a job promotion. What? Buoy is a verb that means to uplift or give encouragement to. The way I read that in the paper, it made me feel like something bad happened. Oh, it was a negative connotation. Okay, well, a buoy is a floating marker that indicates the presence of underwater hazards. Yeah. When buoy is a verb, it can mean to float like a buoy, literally or figuratively. Oh, okay, winning an award could buoy your spirits as if you are floating with pride. Clemency has the same or almost the same meaning as flourish, leniency, sadness, fallacy. Clemency, sadness. What the heck? Clemency, leniency. Okay. Clemency is a noun that means leniency and compassion shown towards offenders. Okay. Okay, say you're playing a role-playing game and you end up in one of the other players' dungeons. You can try begging her for clemency, compassion shown by people in power towards people who rebel or break the law. Clemency is also a weather word, though nowadays it's much more common to hear people talk about the inclement weather than say the clemency of the storm. Leniency and compassion shown towards offenders. Okay, you end up, okay, try begging her for clemency, compassion shown by people in power towards people who rebel or break the law. Okay, got it. Vindictive, seeking revenge, disposed to seek revenge or intended for revenge. I just needed like a solid, like, I already picked that up, like in context whenever I see that word, but I just need like a solid confirmation. That's what it means. So large, see, that's what I think. When I see voluble, I think large in volume or bulk. But I did learn the real meaning, but I forgot what I saw. Voluble, marked by ready flow of speech. Oh, there we go. Voluble, hold on. Voluble describes someone who talks a lot. Okay. Like your aunt who can't stop telling you to cut your hair, or a potential or political candidate who makes 20 speeches on the day before the election. Voluble. Centrifuge. Oh dear. Choose the best picture for centrifuge. You see, this is what gets me. I want to choose this one, right? Because let's do it. See, look at that. This one. No, what? This one? Ugh. A ride at the fair that spins you around until you stick to the walls. A device in your washing machine that spins your clothes around quickly to get the water out of them. Those are centrifuges. I'm 19% done, okay, and the goal is 25. But I just wanted to film exactly what I mean by practice the new vocabulary words. I should be, and just one more round and I hit 25, and the goal is to just, hit 100 by the end of the week, which again, 4 days, right? That's it. Look at the view outside my hotel room. So pretty. I would love to see what this looks like in Christmas time, I bet it looks magical. It's June 27th, 11:27. I have to be up and ready to go to work at 4? At 6, ideally. I'm going to get up at 6, put on my clothes, head out there, and get back to work. Here is where I am on the habit tracker. Okay, starting from the day I set up these goals and what I've been able to achieve so far, which is the vocabulary practice and reading self-help book. I did try to tackle the weekly study planner, and basically what I've got done was because I was called out to work. 15 minutes of vocabulary for Spanish and 15 minutes of vocabulary for Mandarin. Where I am with my tasks is not good, but tomorrow is what? Today's Friday. It's Friday, so in 30 minutes, it's officially going to be Saturday and Sunday, okay? And for Saturday and Sunday, I really want to do like a complete line of checks in the habit tracker, okay? If I can just end strong, then I think I can begin the new month strong. And there you have it. It was not a strong week last week, but I did learn some things last week through this book that I have been reading, that I have been consistently reading. Harvard Business Review Guide to Be More Productive. One thing that surprised me about this book is that it came with several worksheets inside. I had used the office copy printer to print out these worksheets and work on them. And these worksheets, at least 2 out of 3, was somewhat relevant to what I was experiencing currently, trying to get these goals done last week. One of the things that the book stressed to me was the importance of being able to delegate unimportant tasks, being able to organize my tasks from the most important to the least important throughout the day. I am familiar with something like that. I think it's called the Eisenhower chart. Even though it doesn't mention the Eisenhower chart or whatever it's usually called, it does insist on eliminating and delegating unimportant tasks. The self-assessment worksheet was called Identifying Low-Value Tasks. And while I did try to do it, basically it asked me to make a list of everything you did yesterday for the day before. No, make a list of everything you did yesterday or the day before, divided into 30 to 60 minute chunks. For each task, ask yourself 4 questions. How viable is this activity to the firm? To what extent could I let this go? How much personal value do I get from doing it? And to what extent could someone else do it on my behalf? Again, this chart is very specific to the workplace, right? I'm looking for something that's more specific to my life. But I didn't throw the baby out with the bathwater. I did understand the advice of being able to organize your tasks from important to least important. So in another chapter though, that was more helpful to me, that pretty much says the same thing, it suggested to, again, organize instead of saying the Eisenhower chart, they said to organize my life, my tasks, list of tasks by 4 quadrants. And I like quadrants because in the Eisenhower chart, it said one of the quadrants would tell you what to delegate to somebody else. I don't really have anybody to delegate to, nor do I really want to do that. Like, I have family members, but I don't want to, if I need something done, it's me who has to do it, right? I'm not going to tell Jonathan, go send the mail for me. I'm gonna go send my mail. I do prefer the 4 quadrants idea compared to the Eisenhower chart. Another worksheet that was very, very interesting was the How Stressed Are You worksheet. The book states that research suggests that some stress can actually be beneficial to performance. Usually I had the idea that when you're too stressed out, you can't perform. This book is saying some stress is helpful to performance, but it depends on the level. There's a sweet spot level, apparently, to productive stress. But it continues, it increased psychological mental arousal. When level of stress too high, performance decreases. And with that came this worksheet asking, how stressed was I? And on the worksheet, I did score a 27. And for that, they told me, if your total score is much higher than average, 25 or above, then your stress level is probably detrimental to your productivity and your health. I'm not too worried about my health. Okay, I'm not too worried about my health. I don't have that kind of stress, if that makes sense. If there is a difference between stress that is bad for your health and stress that is bad for your productivity, you know what? Never mind, I take that back. I do see that potentially bad for my health, but I'm not too worried about that. I feel like that part is very fixable. I do recognize what they're saying when they're saying that there is there's a level of productivity, a sweet spot of productivity, where
a sweet spot of stress where you can stay productive. I feel like I have recognized that in my daily life. And then another spot of stress, a danger zone, if you will, of stress where it is going to shut down all your willpower to be productive. And now that it's confirming that it exists, I can now look into myself. Whatever is making my score above 25, how can I bring that down to the sweet spot? Right now, I'm purposely aware and striving to bring my stress levels down to the sweet spot. That is something that I really appreciate being aware of. The book didn't end there. The book also gave a lot of tips on how to relieve stress. And it wasn't things like, oh, squeeze a stress ball, go play outside. It was actually more intrinsic than that. The two tips that they gave was find more opportunities to be authentic. And the part that I annotated was when people behave in inauthentic ways, they experience higher levels of anxiety than when they are simply themselves. So try to find ways to express who you are at work. Okay, again, this book is very specific to how to be productive in the workplace. I'm just looking for productivity in the daily life. So how I applied this quote to my daily life is what I do now. This YouTube channel that I have is very helpful to relieving stress for me, right? This is where I get to express myself and explore a deeper side of myself creatively, thoughtfully, intellectually, I suppose. And I think that and keeping my journal. So having an outlet for your authentic self, I think is what's important. And as long as I hold myself to be consistent with this, I can find myself more stress-free, right? Because I am expressing myself authentically through an outlet consistently. So this was just a confirmation that I am on the right path. Use rituals. What I highlighted was the superstitious rituals enhanced people's confidence in their abilities, motivated greater effort, and improved subsequent performance. And one of the examples they used for a sports star that does rituals is basketball superstar Michael Jordan wore his University of North Carolina shorts underneath his Chicago Bulls shorts at every game. Curtis Martin, former running back of the New York Jets, who read Psalm 91 before every game. Okay, these are sports stars that has rituals, and it had this effect. They actually studied and ran data on them. If I could read the part where they gave the hard data. Okay, so basically they did an experiment with golfing, and they found that the people who did the rituals saw an enhancement in productivity and performance. So that had me thinking of what rituals can I do to enhance my own performance. And the main thing that I can think of is affirmations. And I'm very familiar with affirmations. My parents did affirmations. They tried to influence me to use affirmations. I'm not too fond of it because I feel like it feels so corny. I don't think it makes a difference, but I think this book is an excuse to go ahead and try using daily affirmations and seeing, as a ritual, and seeing how that does help my performance. The most interesting worksheet was helping me to determine my productivity style, okay? And the chapter about productivity said, in fact, your cognitive style, that is the way you prefer to perceive and process information, can have a dramatic impact on the success or failure of time management techniques and performance enhancement strategies, okay? So this week, I had a huge time management issue. Not this week, last week I had a huge, one of the big issues was finding the time to do all that I wanted to do. And there were moments where I had time and I thought, you know what? That would have been a good time to get this out the way, okay? But I don't know, I couldn't throw my mind into it. So me figuring out my productivity style, I really was excited for this one because anything that could help me figure out how should I personally, as an individual, approach time management, I'm here for it. So there's 4 productivity styles that they listed, okay? The 4 productivity styles they list is prioritizers, planners, arrangers, and visualizers. Okay. And they say for prioritizers prefer logic, analytical, fact-based, critical, and realistic thinking. They use time effectively and focus on the highest value task, accurately completing significant amounts of work. They analyze project goals and strive to achieve the desired outcome. And this is the one I scored a 26 on. Planners prefer organized, sequential, and detailed thinking. They create to-do lists, set aside time for tasks, and prepare through thorough and accurate project plans. They don't waste time on anything unproductive or unimportant. They comply with laws, policies, regulations, and quality and safety criteria, and they frequently complete work ahead of deadline. Arrangers prefer supportive, expressive, and emotional thinking. They encourage teamwork to maximize output, and they make decisions intuitively as events unfold. They block off time to complete work, but excel at partnering with others to get it done. They communicate effectively, which helps them build and lead project teams. They tend to maintain visual lists, often using color. Productivity tools that appeal to arrangers include, they also give you a list of what real life productivity tools I could use online or physically if this was me. Visualizers prefer holistic, intuitive, integrative thinking. They manage and juggle multiple tasks while still seeing the big picture. They are known for creativity and innovation and synthesizing others' disparate ideas into a cohesive whole. They think strategically about projects and work quickly to execute tasks. They tend to maintain visual lists, often using color. Okay? And when it came to being a prioritizer, I scored a 26. When it comes to being a planner, the planning style, I scored a 22. Arrangers was a 26. And visualizers was a 24. I can kind of see myself in all of them, particularly planning, which is interesting because the planner is the one I got a 22. That's the least. Again, I'm not sure if the chart intended me to have over 20 in all of them, but I do identify with being a planner. I do love making lists. Even right here, okay, right here is the not brainstorming sheet, but just the outline of how this video is supposed to go. It's 3 pages long, right? So I do tend to plan things out. If this book recognizes that I'm more of a prioritizer and an arranger, it's not too bad. It's not going to be harmful for me to try it out for the next few weeks, right? And if anything, if those doesn't work out, I could always try the next 2 productivity styles despite what I scored on the official worksheet. So here is my plan for next week. Like we established, I am going to do the quadrants, organize my task into quadrants, and I'm going to separate that quadrant by morning, afternoon, evening, and night. In the morning, before 10 a.m., because it's at 10 a.m. where I can expect to be called out for work, I'm going to do the urgent and important tasks. Any task that I have to do uniquely for that week or for that day, the urgent and most important tasks will be tackled first. Then it's going to be 1 hour of exercise, vocabulary, English, Spanish, and Mandarin vocabulary. And that is my strategy for the next week. I can actually start grouping my tasks by sameness or similarity, right? So just like you saw me do vocabulary words for the English language, I can slip in the 15 minutes of 15 Spanish of Mandarin right after I do the English, right? Especially seeing in my habit tracker how easy it was for me to tackle. I'm very excited to tackle this for the morning, all of this for the morning, because the morning time is the peak time. Your brain is at its peak more when you get up in the morning. So I think all this is fitting for the morning, especially urgent and the most important of tasks. For the afternoon, in the afternoon, I can expect myself to be commuting to work. So for the afternoon, it's just going to be reading, okay? Reading that self-help book. 2 chapters of it. Reading beginning Spanish short stories, reading beginning Chinese short stories. Okay, you see how this works? I think my brain's going to appreciate this more. Instead of doing 50 minutes of vocabulary, then reading in the morning, then I can just space it out. I can just space tasks out to what's fitting and very comfortable and more fluent throughout my day. This is what I'm most excited about trying, because sometimes, as you could see in my video, I was in a hotel room for work, 11 o'clock at night, and I had to get up early the next day. So nighttime is wind down time. Okay. And I think what's fitting for that time where I'm winding down is listening to Spanish, listening to Chinese, is the listening portion. I can get that checked out. Okay, while I'm winding down, my brain is still proactively learning these new languages just through listening to a podcast or listening to a YouTube video that is just telling a story. I think that's perfect. And of course, before I even start all that, I'm going to tackle the non-urgent and not important tasks that I have for this period of my day. Okay. I think this is really going to work in making sure my habit tracker is fully achieved, or at least more achieved than what we saw next week. I'm very, very excited.